From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan Hajavandi. He is Corey Clark. We work for Warchant.com. Use that promo code FSU New Era, 50% off an annual membership to the ultimate Seminole sports source. Keep you dialed in to everything going on with Florida State athletics, namely that head coaching search. But before we get to football, let's talk a little about the hoops today, Corey. How are you? You're in a little bit of discomfort.
I'll tell people what just happened. Can you hear me in your headset?
No, we don't have the whole thing.
So I didn't realize this. And this isn't. It's not an attack on the kid because it's what happens. But pronounce his name.
Dominic Olenichik.
Olenichik. Okay. So he came in and got interviewed by the assembled media after the game. He had 10 points. First double-digit game as a Seminole. Big kid, 7 foot, probably 250, 260. Well, he unbeknownst to me, I kind of gave away the punchline there. But anyway, somebody's in my seat when everything's over. So I'm like, oh, there's a free seat. I'm just going to sit down. And then I get up and feel that my behind is completely soaked. Somehow, I guess the way I was sitting, the front side, right side of my leg, my jeans are completely soaked. And I get up and I tell Aslan that, and I'm like, man, I guess somebody spilled a Diet Coke or something. He goes, oh, you know what it was? It was probably where Dominic was sitting. And that's exactly what it was. So I've got his sweat all over me, like it's just all over my jeans. Look at that. You see that?
Oh my gosh!
That's
they're
crazy.
like light blue jeans that look like black now.
Yeah. So hey, that just means he's playing hard.
Yeah.
It means he's playing hard. It could have been. Was he in his uniform?
Yes.
Wasn't he? Yeah. So I was thinking,
And
okay, maybe he took a shower.
He had a towel over his lap when he was seated.
So that's what I'm feeling is whatever was on that towel, which I assume was his sweat. So whatever, man. He sweat on me. It's fine. It's cool. It's a good time.
We're going to do a Renegade Express edition of the program, taking all your football questions, but we were here at the Civic Center on site. Florida State 89-53 win over Chattanooga, 3-1 now on the season for Florida State. 5 different guys in double figures led by Devin Vassell and his 17. Patrick Williams with 16 on the evening as well. Takeaways, Core. Mine was, Patrick Williams. And to hear Leonard kind of speak about what was kind of going through my head, just, tip of the iceberg cliche nonsense. But I feel it's like he's like a scratch-off ticket. Like you talk about tip of the iceberg, scratching the surface. I feel like you're just scratching the surface of a lotto ticket with Patrick Williams.
But I think Leonard, dealing with him like I have for over a decade now, he doesn't speak very often like he spoke about Patrick Williams on Wednesday night, talking about he has the potential to be something special, and that's why he's like, I could have started him, but I don't want, I think he's got a chance to be really special.
Doesn't want to put too much on him.
I don't want to put too much pressure on him. With Raekwon Gray out, it would have made sense to start Patrick Williams instead of Wyatt Wilkes. But he wanted him to come off the bench because he wants to bring him along slowly. But he doesn't ever really talk about even really good freshmen. Like Isaac and those guys, and Bacon and Beasley, he'd say, yeah, they're talented, but he wouldn't. That kind of, to me, kind of struck a chord with me. Like, oh, okay, he obviously he's seeing it too, but it's not just he's had a couple of nice games. He sees it every day in practice, and he thinks he has a chance to be something special. And so obviously does the Chattanooga head coach, because he said he has this. He said, I'm not trying to gas him up, but he has the chance to be a star, and he does. He's got, he's shooting threes pretty well. It's an unorthodox looking shot, but it works for him. Obviously, a very good athlete, good on both. Could be really good on both ends. Just a good player, man.
Absolutely.
Good player.
Yeah, that was the encouraging thing to me. And then also seeing the way that Olenichik performed in limited minutes.
And Balsa
Koprivica.
They had 20 and 10 between the two, and they're not going to do that a lot in ACC games. Obviously, you can't count on those two dudes for 20 points and 10 rebounds. But the rebounds I thought Balsa had 7 rebounds. Some of them were in traffic. Again, it's against Chattanooga. It's not against Carolina. But still, I thought that was impressive. Other than that, to me, the biggest takeaway, and you can't take away a whole lot, I thought their defense was a lot better. They challenged a lot of shots. That team scored some buckets underneath that I don't think will happen much once the centers get more comfortable. They weren't even in the game, I don't think, for a lot of those little turnaround layups. They were playing Osborne and Wilkes with their 4 and 5. That won't happen a lot moving forward. But, yeah, I thought their defense and challenge and three-pointers in the first half was a lot better than what we saw on Friday night.
All right. They'll be back in action on Saturday, 2 p.m.?
2 p.m. against St. Francis.
All right.
I think that's in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Not sure. Don't quote me on that. But I'm going to go ahead and say it's in Pennsylvania. Right. And prove me wrong if you want to, guys.
Right. Want to give a shout out to some people on the social media stuff here. So apparently obviously the quest for me.
I mean, it's like I walked into a fountain, like I've stuck my leg into the fountain, the Westcott fountain. Yeah.
It is. I mean, you can see it is darker. It is.
Yeah,
a darker shade.
It's all over me, man.
How does it? Was your leg underneath your bottom? Like, did you have were you sitting
That's
on your own leg?
I think it was like this. You see how my leg is right here, and so the sweat was dripped down the leg of the chair. And I had my foot wrapped around, and it's just,
all that Polish DNA all over you, buddy.
Oh, it's all over me. All over me.
We'll try and make this quick. We'll go to the Midtown offices to do the rest of the program. Shout out to Warchief95, who's on Twitter. He's also on Warchant.
Okay.
He's heard rumors that I'm going to get a cat. He's not too excited about that.
Sure.
He offered to gift me a puppy from his beautiful Doberman. I mean, the dam, I guess is what you call the female. And then the sire. The sire's got that black coat.
Okay.
And then the mare. Oh, that's not the dam. Yeah, the dam. Sorry. The female's got that like chocolate red Doberman. Beautiful dogs. I think that's it's a little too big for me. I don't think I'm a Doberman guy.
It's not a huge house.
Maybe like a min pin, like a mini pincher I could have, but not a full.
You have a backyard?
I do have a big backyard.
Well, I mean, you could put him out there, I guess. He's good for protection.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Michael Owens, who was one of our winners on the over-under, tried to what do you call it? Bribe me into giving him a T-shirt. But you're number 3, man. You got to be in the top 2 to get a T-shirt.
Standards.
Yeah.
We're not going to let our standards slip just because other standards around the program have slipped in recent years.
He sent me a photo of his family's golden doodle, Coco. Recommends me getting a golden doodle over the cat. So everyone's trying to not.
A small dog would be cool with you. The
problem
problem
with
with
the
the small
dog is too much money. I talked about too much money.
Yeah, but small dogs, to me, the one thing I'd always be worried about is just the barking.
Right.
Little yippy barks. And cats don't make any noise, man. They're very self-contained, which might be more up your alley, although it is a cat.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get why people don't want you to have a cat, but people, if you really knew Aslan, you know it was probably the right play.
I mean, the thing is, so these people are offering me free dogs, which is a fantastic, absolutely, I'm like beyond flattered. And then not.com, I don't know if I should even said his name, but DMs me on Warchant saying that he listened to the show and heard that I was thinking about going to Athens and says that he's got season tickets and he won't be there with his wife this weekend. So if I want to go, he'll give me his tickets. And I kind of have plans that they're kind of up in the air, but if they fall through, and he's like, I'll overnight ship them to you. Like, what kind of guys?
Man, that's good. Hey, man, it's good to have fans, good people on Warchant, folks. That's an advertisement right there for what it means to be a subscriber to Warchant. It's a community. People take care of each other. You get a dog, you get tickets, whatever.
I really kind of want to go by myself. I think it'd be kind of cool to go by myself to Athens and just
I mean, you can't wear your A&M gear. You can't wear your I Love Jimbo T-shirt.
Are you? Yeah, it's the one time I went to the Sugar Bowl in 2002, and you guys weren't very nice.
They would not be nice if you're wearing your A&M gear, no. If you wear your Florida State gear, I feel like maybe they think you're taking a shot at Jimbo, so they'd be all on board with that.
But then I'd be like, no.
Maybe wear you like your 2013 National Championship shirt?
Yeah.
Maybe? I don't know.
Maybe. Reminds me of my mother and father's homeland. There's people that are still loyal to the Shah. They're waiting for the Shah to come back to Iran.
Right.
It's like I'm like that guy here in Tallahassee. Got the lighthouse up open for Jimbo still.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, man, he might. Maybe he'll return. Maybe he'll get tired of all the money in Texas.
Yeah. I don't know if we're taking up people's space right now. There's like 3 people looking at us. Like, what are we doing sitting here in this room? So, well, just one thing I want to talk about before we dive into the Renegade Express. The most interesting thing to me right now going on the message boards is like there's Bob Stoops Truthers, I think.
Okay.
That think that Bob Stoops is still going to be the head coach of Florida State. That this is smokescreen. There's gag orders on people.
Right.
And I thought at first it was kind of like cutesy, funny, like we're trying to laugh so we don't cry at ourselves kind of a thing. But it's a legitimate groundswell of people, intelligent posters on the tribal council that think that Bob Stoops is still either it's a done deal or he's still like really a legitimate
Well,
candidate.
I think part of it is because of the search firm guy, the story where they talked about him having a plane from a school fly to Boise just to throw people off the scent. Like the school plane flew to Boise knowing that it was going to be tracked. So maybe people think he, for some reason, wanted to throw everybody off the track. So he set off the scent. So he says that on Friday, no, he's not a candidate anymore when he really is. The odd thing to me, though, is why.
Yes.
What's the upside to that? It's not like he's got to finish out Oklahoma's regular season. He's sitting there doing nothing but apparently drinking tequila and game planning for the XFL.
And growing a really gross beard out, shave, Bob. Doesn't look good.
You got to do that. So I don't know what the upside would be to throwing people off the scent and saying no, he's not a candidate anymore. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there could be one. I'm not saying it's absolutely ridiculous, but it just wouldn't make a lot of sense to what changed in the last
because that's the thing, right?
4 or 5 days.
What our belief is, or what we've heard, is that like there was an offer made.
Yeah.
So would there be another offer? Like if he didn't like the offer 4 days ago, what's going to make? And if he does change his mind on that, so that is good enough. So I guess you.
And also don't even know if it's an offer or just, man, I don't think I want to do it. And now I do want to do it. Like, oh well, what? I don't think anything might have changed.
The fire in my belly is back.
Yeah, after Friday, it wasn't. I don't know about that. I mean, it wouldn't completely stun me, but I would definitely think I wouldn't think that's a huge probability that they're just throwing everybody off the scent. But Stoops is still in the game. I wouldn't think that. I just don't know why they would have, because they got it out there immediately. They've been completely quiet, really, for 2 weeks. But that Friday, they wanted everybody to know at noon or 12:30 on Friday or whenever that was, hey, Bob Stoops isn't a candidate anymore.
Yeah.
Why? Why would you do that if he still really was very much in the picture? Yeah. Unless you wanted to do like a cool surprise. But they blew that chance when he could have ridden out on Renegade for the home game.
Can you do that this day and age? Are there such things? Can you really keep things that secret?
No, I wouldn't think. I mean, if you were going to, it seems like it would be easier with a Bob Stoops who's not affiliated technically with the school right now. Like you couldn't do it with the Campbell guy because the Iowa State people, the media, the administrators would get the word out he's accepted the job. But you could do it you'd have an easier chance with Stoops because other than the XFL leaking it, who else would leak it?
I mean, his wife knows, and the family
it would be really hard. It would be odd.
This day and age, it's impossible.
It would be odd for them to do that. That would be very surprising.
Yeah, but they're entertaining people on the message boards. I mean,
hey man, whatever, man. Hey, that'd be cool if it was going to be Bob Stoops shot out of a cannon or something. Or they're open. They have a cake, and he's in the middle of it. That's cool, man. Whatever they got to do.
That said, Hot Board 4.0 will be dropping. It should have already dropped by the time you guys are listening to this, and gals. No new names on. Actually, there is one new name on there. But otherwise, it's still kind of an underwhelming list. It's still the same folks, not a lot of traction movement on the names.
Well, not underwhelming as much as just the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like those names. You like some of those names.
Well, there's the one name that got added, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, sure.
And I will say this, I'll steal this, and you can get mad at me, Gene, I'm sorry. Matt Campbell, I would not call him the front runner, but his name comes up as often as anyone. So
okay, there you go. There you go, gang.
Let's take a break, and we'll dive right into the First Commerce Financial Renegade Express right after this. It's Wake Up Warchant.
If you want an adventure, you could climb a mountain, or ride dune buggies through the desert, or you could just head to your neighborhood Zaxby's. Introducing the Smokehouse Cheddar Barbecue and Southwest Chipotle Filet Sandwich Meals. They're brand new, and they'll take your taste buds to wild and exciting new places. Both feature our famous hand-breaded chicken, and they're both available for a limited time. Only at your neighborhood Zaxby's.
Welcome back, folks. It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan, Corey. This segment, though, it's Renegade Express time, Corey. As you well know, you hear the ponies going on there.
I do.
If you or someone you know is looking to buy or refinance a home, First Commerce Financial is a pure mortgage broker committed to providing transparent mortgage solutions to help you grow your overall net worth. They eliminate the junk fees associated with most mortgages, all while providing 5-star level service and keeping you updated throughout the process. Trust the process. Mention that you heard them here on Warchant. They will also waive the appraisal fee if you're a qualified borrower. To begin your process or you have any questions, call 248-207-2404 or visit firstcommercefinancial.com. Licensed in Florida, Michigan, Arizona, and California. It's Renegade Express, brought to you by First Commerce Financial. Corey, let's jump into it then. As I say that, I'm not even in the freaking thread.
What's the matter with you?
Hey, man, it was a rough one. I told you it was a rough one. So I start the thread off with, do you honestly care about anything other than coaching rumors right now? You rolling with the Mats or the field? How likely are you into talking yourself into the hire being great if it's a Mark Stoops? Share your favorite David Kelly memory. We'll see if anybody partakes. Brian Green, 0302. He's from Yuma, Arizona, or at least he's posting from Yuma, Arizona. Did you ever see the movie? Was it 317?
310 to Yuma?
310?
I did, yeah. I
Good?
didn't see the original. I saw the remake with
Christian
Bale.
Bale?
Christian Bale,
Yeah,
right?
so,
yeah, it's good.
Was it?
It's good. It's intense.
Can we get an over-under thread going for prospects? Winner gets a chicken sandwich. I don't know, in terms of like over-under, maybe just based on who they are. Like over-under the number of times Mark Stoops says, no, I won't coach at Florida State 2.5, and amount of times.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
No,
that's what he's doing or something. Yeah, man, whatever. We'll figure out a way. Maybe when we start hearing – well, actually, no. I don't want to say when it starts getting hot and heavy because then it's going to be easy. Be like, yeah, if you want to go right now and call your shot, tweet it at us. And if you get the right coach, whoever's the first person in, we'll send you a T-shirt. There you go.
I think you should have another day, too.
Okay, it's like a baby pool.
Yeah.
All right.
The day helps.
All right, there you go. The day and the coach.
Yeah.
Nail it. Tweet it at us, and you'll get a T-shirt. MCC Campbell. I am honestly beginning to worry that even if we lose to Florida by 2 touchdowns, this administration is going to give the nod to Odell and play it off as, quote, he's the hometown guy, he's the guy that will lead us where we need to go, etc. What do you guys feel the max probability is that he gets the job right now? I am for Matt Campbell or Brent Venables, and I love Odell, but please, no. Percentage, max probability, man, 10%.
Yeah,
It ain't gonna happen.
10%. And again, I don't kind of know where all this is coming from. I think you take stories. What's going on? You okay?
Yeah, it's just, the cold, my allergies, my
Okay.
lack of sleep schedule's got my eyes watering, so I grab the Kleenex and I'm dabbing my eye, and Corey's all worried about me. Appreciate it.
I didn't know if you were going for the nose or what was going on. You
All
got
of it.
all of it.
I'm fine. I'm healthy.
All your orifices.
I'm not going to get you sick.
So, yeah, I think because people write about how cool it's been for Odell to be here, and people talk about it, and Coburn says what he says about how could you not like that guy, and you get the impression that they're trying to figure this out and pull this one off, like pull a fast one by you. Man, Florida State wants to win. They just went through 3 years of heartache. They're losing tons of money every time they lose football games. They need to get somebody in here that they really think will do the job and win games. They're not trying to do this on the cheap. They're just not. I think it's 10%. I think what we've talked about is if he goes and plays well at Florida or beats Florida, then he becomes more of a viable candidate because you're like, all right, well, look, you don't have to be some X's and O's genius to be a head coach. The dude at Clemson's proven that. The dude at LSU's proven that. So maybe that gets into their line of thinking a little bit, but that doesn't move him to the top of the list. And I just don't understand the animosity towards the Florida State administration. We know for a fact that they offered Bob Stoops they made a run at Bob Stoops. Don't sit there and act like they're trying to get off on the cheap. They're not. They would have already made Odell their coach. They know how important this hire is. Just because there's no noise from other coaches doesn't mean that something's going wrong and they're trying to figure out a way to give it to Odell, because why would they do that? Why would they just be like, you know what? We don't want Odell. We really want Matt Campbell, but he might say no. And you know what? Let's just give it to the guy. He's earned it. That's not how coaching searches work at big boy programs. Not when you're leaking money. In the Florida State program is leaking money, and they have to get back on track. They have to start winning games. They have to become a relevant program again. And nobody knows that more than John Thrasher and David Coburn, because they know the finances. It's a big deal. You don't get off on the cheap here. If they hire Odell Higgins, which we both said is about a 1 in 10 chance, maybe, it's because realistically they think there's something magical with that guy and he's going to turn this thing around. Not because they're getting off on the cheap, but I don't think that's a real possibility. I mean, I don't think it's not real. I don't think it's a high probability that Odell Higgins is going to be the next head coach.
Big_G95. Wake up, gentlemen. I'll make this quick. I only have 2 topics to touch on. What are your thoughts on Gary Patterson from TCU as the next FSU head coach? That's topic number 1. I don't think so.
He doesn't come up much. They have struggled a little bit last couple years, right?
He runs hot and cold, man. He either wins like 11 games or he loses like 9.
Look, what would be the problem with him? I don't know his age. Are you looking up his age?
He's 59.
So he's 59. He's the same age as Stoops. He's been at TCU for, I'm going to guess, 15 years? 16 years?
He's there since 2000, so this is 20th season.
And he's had them at least top 5 a few times, right?
Top 5 twice. Top 10 7 times.
And that's at the end of the year.
Correct.
Yeah, man. Think about, I'm older than, Aslan. I'm older than a lot of people that listen to this show. I can promise you when I was growing up, TCU was an afterthought. Yeah. Nobody knew anything about them at all.
You had Doak Walker when you were around.
Sure. And, I know LaDainian went there. That's it. That was TCU's claim to fame forever. That's all they had. That's the only thing that made them newsworthy or noteworthy at all. And he turned them into an actual, top 15-ish program. So, man, yeah, just 2 years ago they were top 5. That's when Matt Campbell beat them, when they were like 4th in the country. Mm-hmm. They've been left out of the playoffs when people thought they had a shot. So, yeah, man, I think that I think Gary Patterson will be he's proven that he can do it at a school like TCU in a real conference, playing those teams, recruiting against those teams. His name hasn't come up for one reason or another. Maybe he's made it pretty clear he wants to end his career at TCU. But I would certainly kick the tires on that.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I just I remember there was people would talk about him in 2017 when Jimbo was like, why don't we go for Gary Patterson? It's like, well, I don't know if there's any sort of mutual interest there.
Yeah, there might not be. He might be a Texas guy through and through, and he might want to just finish his career there. Maybe he doesn't want a new challenge at 59.
Well, he's really a Kansas guy through and through. He's from Roselle, went to Dodge City Community College, played at Kansas State.
He went to a community college?
Before transferring to Kansas State, ultimately. Went to Dodge City.
All right.
Yeah. Nice. Shoot. Yeah, you look at since 2010. 2010 he went 13-0, 11-2, 7-6, 4-8, and then came back 12-1, 11-2, 6-7, 11-3, 7-6 last season. They're currently 5-5 right now. So.
All right.
But again, he's one of those guys where I feel the book on him has been written. Is there something in TCU? Is there something in the Fort Worth area that's holding him back from winning a national title?
Well, it's TCU, though. I can't imagine.
You're in a Power 5 conference. Win it.
Win the conference?
Yeah, and he'll go to the playoff.
Sure. He went 13-0 and didn't get a chance, right?
No, they lost. I think that year, because they destroyed. That was the year that we made it to we Shamley got, 3 after we won the national title, and we had to go play Oregon. Yeah. That was the year it was them and Baylor going back and forth, and they destroyed Ole Miss in the bowl game, the Peach Bowl. Annihilated them.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying, so he's, again, there's some obstacles at a place like TCU.
They lost to Baylor that year, 61-58. They lost.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Come on,
at
Gary.
Baylor, though.
Coach some defense.
At Baylor, though.
I vaguely remember that game. Gosh, I bet Kendall Briles remembers that game.
My goodness, they beat Texas Tech that year, 82-27. TCU.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I like that too. I like my coaches when they'll go into the 80s.
Yeah. Also, the other topic you wanted to touch on, whoever is the new Florida State head coach needs to pass out pink slips, eviction notices to the following players: Jay Williams, Juwan Williams, Mike Arnold. We need those scholarships back to bring in better players. Attrition time, baby. Anywho, thanks for making my morning commute enjoyable. Corey Aslan, I love you. P.S.
Thanks, man.
P.S. There's not a Zaxby's anywhere near the DMV area. I'm so jealous. Can you imagine that? All the money you have to spend in rent, traffic, and then you don't have a Zaxby's to help
The Metro closes at 10:30, so you have to leave the Nationals game in the 5th inning. Yeah, and then they won't even hit you with the Zaxby's. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
We're thinking about you. Thoughts and prayers. Mr. Clutch _1992. If Cuse beats Louisville, I like saying Louisville. Then FSU finishes second in the Atlantic?
That's a
question.
True?
I know that's a question he posed. How in the world? No way. Because Wake Forest is still ahead of Florida State.
Yeah, they can't be ahead of Wake Forest. So they finished third.
How come Les Miles isn't being brought up into coaching candidates?
Well, that's a guy that, fair or unfair, every name that's been mentioned, including Norville, including Mark Stoops, I would take all of them over Les Miles. All of them. I'm not impressed with what he did at LSU. He took over a juggernaut. As an offensive guy, he was coming in to be an offensive guy, and his offenses were always a train wreck. I think he got – I don't say he didn't get into the championship in 11 because of Saban, because Saban had already been gone for, I think, 4 or 5 years by then. So they were all Les Miles' players. But how do you go a full decade without getting a quarterback, an incompetent offense? You had Mettenberger. You had Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry on the same team, and your offenses still were just a joke. You always lost to Alabama. Again, no shame in that. But if it's a rivalry, you can beat them. And I thought it was always mediocrity, except for a couple of blips. I know he won a national title in 2007 with 2 losses. When he was heavily favored, he lost to Kentucky. He lost at home to Arkansas. They had much more talent than both those teams. And again, 11 wins, 12 wins is great, but I thought that team maybe was on the back of Saban because Nick Saban made LSU I think a lot of those players were probably Saban's players, at least half of the roster. But Saban made LSU a destination again. Mm-hmm. Miles kind of turned it back into what it had been our whole lives. Yeah. That would be my saying. I know he's fun. I know he eats grass. I know he says crazy things and he talks weird. But I would just – a guy that's supposed to be an offensive guru who came to LSU to do that, and then their offense were always just straight up blah. It wouldn't excite me at all. It wouldn't. I don't think that's not appealing to me at all. I get it. There aren't many coaches out there that have national championships, so I can get the appeal.
So far removed from that mountaintop, though.
That was 12 years ago, and also again it was with 2 losses. Yeah. He just kind of lucked into getting to play. Back when Ohio State wasn't very good, he got to play Ohio State in a bowl game.
In the Sugar Bowl, too. I think the
Sugar
BCS
Bowl, it was the Sugar Bowl.
Was a home game.
Virginia Tech, Georgia, they all could have been in there to beat Ohio State. LSU just happened to get chosen, and that's how they got. By the computers, even though they had 2 losses. So, anyway.
He doesn't strike me as some sort of – this program needs like an organizational attention to detail to the nth degree, very just structured, aggressive, no-nonsense kind of coach. And that's just not Les Miles. I remember all the clips that they would post on Twitter from his post-game news conference that everyone thought were cutesy. And it was just like, dude, this guy, he's the head coach there? This is like a top, bizarre. Not that interesting. Also, Mr. Clutch asked, why wasn't Odell made defensive coordinator instead of Charles Kelly back in the day? I thought Kelly was just a secondary coach at the time of the hire. Do you think the defense would have changed?
No, and I don't know that Odell's ever struck you as a coordinator guy. We got in this discussion on headlines about, if why didn't Odell want to climb the ladder? People kind of view that as a negative, and I think the guy really likes being a position coach. He really likes coaching the defensive line. That's what I feel like he feels like he was born to do, to coach these guys, but not to coach 40, to coach 8, or 6. I think he's really a D tackles coach. He's not a defensive end coach, and it's a different skill set to coordinate a defense as it is to be a position coach. And people might listen to that and go, okay, well, if you wouldn't trust him to coordinate your defense, how would you trust him to be a head coach? And again, that's a different skill set. There are great coordinators that are terrible head coaches, and vice versa. I wouldn't trust Orgeron to be a DC, and I wouldn't trust Dabo to be my OC. But Orgeron, the jury's still out on that guy. Let's be honest. He's got an incredible quarterback with unbelievable receivers. He's a defensive-minded guy, right, for the most part,
right.
And their defense isn't any good.
Not good.
So I don't know how much credit he gets for Joe Burrow transferring in. But either way, he's got that program in a nice spot right now. But I wouldn't trust him to be my DC, and I wouldn't trust Dabo to be my OC, but I think every Florida State fan would want Dabo to be their head coach because being a head coach is more than just calling plays. I think the further we – as time evolves and we see that, we understand. Like I think Kirby is involved with the defense at Georgia – a lot, but I think he's also got a DC that he really trusts.
Dan Lanning.
Yeah, he likes that guy. And I don't know. I think there's more. I think there's more to being a DC. I think just because you wouldn't be a good DC or a guy that even wants to be a defensive coordinator, that doesn't mean you could in no way be a head coach. That's not me stumping for Odell, by the way.
What happened to Dave Aranda? You don't hear his name a lot now.
Who?
Dave Aranda, their defensive coordinator at LSU. Like he's into the, with the way they're playing. It's like, well, maybe he isn't.
They're not great.
Last question from Mr. Clutch, 1992. First off, his hot board is Mark Stoops 1, Venables 2, Odell 3, Corey 4.
Okay, I don't mind that. I tell you what, they all could use me as their time management guy. I'll take $100,000 a year. That's a drop in the bucket.
His question is, Corey, how did you know it was time to just shave your head and give it up? I'm fighting that battle now.
If you see pictures of me with the haircut that I had before, if you want to, I use haircut loosely.
I like the growth you had. I think it was good.
No, the more I look at it, when I see those pictures, it just makes me bristle. I can't believe Shanna let me do that. And I'd been when you lose your hair, you fight the battle, and you're like, okay, it got to a point where, number one, I shaved it because I had the huge friar tuck thing in the back, like the huge bald spot.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's embarrassing. I hate that. I hate the big hair here and then a huge bald spot. I hate the ring that my dad had. So I'm like, I'm just going to shave it, and it'll look better. And I liked it for a little while, and then that starts to look ridiculous. And so there wasn't really a set time. It was just I was looking at myself one day, and I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, I got it. I was paying $12 for a haircut when it was just clippers. Yeah. And I look at it, and I go, man, what's the point? You're bald. People know you're bald. You have very little hair here. Yeah. Just pull the cord. Let's do it. And then I thought I looked better bald. And I have a nice head for it, which really helps because there are some people that don't. I don't think Ira is going to have a very good head for it, and it's coming with him.
No, man, he's going strong. He's going to be all right.
No, it's coming. And so he's going to have to do something eventually, and I don't know how that's going to look. That might look rough. Remember when Scottie Pippen, I always bring this up. Scottie Pippen shaved his head. I think it was the year that Jordan was away.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to be the bald guy in Chicago now. Man, it looked like an alien. It was crazy. It looked like there were crevices and canyons. People, go Google Scottie Pippen bald. I'm going to do that right now. You ask the next question.
Agamemnol, Agagamnol, A-game Emnol. I don't know.
It's all right, man. Just
stir from your slumbers, ye mighty Knowles. Do you think that Odell's interest in the job took the administration by surprise and is now giving them anxiety? If we somehow beat the Gators or keep it close and then introduce Mark Stoops or Mike Norvell the next day, it's a bad rollout. Or do you think if the win happens, it's enough to actually sway the decision? I think the most likely thing is they wait a week anyway because they need that time to talk to the guy they really want after the season ends. Whoever that is also allows Odell fever, as the doctors call it, some time to die down. A little bit surprised, I'm sure, because it happened a few years ago with him obviously being the interim coach, and he didn't express the interest to take over at full time. So I'm sure they thought, he'd probably just step up and fill in and do the same thing, and we can just make it a good feel-good story and move on. So I'm sure there's a bit of surprise to it. But again, I think it's to Corey's point the other day about, the interview him now because you have the time to do so, and the announcement's going to have to be after the season because if it's not Bob Stoops, you're going after coaches unless it's some NFL guy or a guy that's on the beach that used to coach in the NFL. I'm not even going to say his name because I'm not going to put that even into existence. I think it gets to that point where you have to wait until after the season's over because you're going after coaches who are currently employed. None of them are going to take the job or comment on it publicly while their seasons are playing out. So, ultimately, long story short, or long answer short, yes, I'm sure they got caught by surprise at the Odell interest being real, but I don't think it's affecting the trajectory or the timetable they have for the announcement.
No, at all. I just imagine if they win down there on a Saturday night, 30-7.
Well, just at least make it believable,
Wait, just if that happened, if they just went out and dominated Florida somehow, or just won the game, but if they won 24-8, what? That people, even the people listening to this, they're like, "Don't say it, Corey. I don't want it." Even you that are listening to this, and me too, because I'm not a believer that he's the right guy for the job necessarily. But if they beat Florida by 2 or 3 touchdowns, huge hypothetical, you, most cynical person, would be like, "What in the world's going on? Yeah. Is this guy like some sort of magic man? Like, is he the guy? What else?" I just think it'll change the whole perception of everything because he hadn't beaten anyone yet. They've looked good. They looked good in 2017 under him, and they beat Boston College at Boston College, probably their best win of the season. But still, it's not like they've looked great. If they go out and play, get 2 weeks to prepare, pull out all this new stuff with a full staff, and they're up 31-6, and you're like, all right, well, heck, What is this? What are we watching? What else do we need to see? So yeah, it would be. I just think even the most cynical people you'd obviously be like, man, that's awesome for Odell. But part of you would be like, man, maybe he is just this perfect person for this job right now. He's just a head coaching savant. He gets it. He knows what he's supposed to be doing. At Birch Orthodontics, they know what a difference a beautiful and healthy smile can make in your life.
They take the time to get to know you and perform a thorough exam so that they can make an individualized treatment plan just for you or your child.
They use the latest technology in a warm and comfortable environment. So whether you are interested in traditional metal or clear braces or clear aligners, they can give you the smile you deserve. They know investing in your smile means investing in your future. And at Birch Orthodontics, they are honored to be a part of your smile journey.
Serving Tallahassee for 16 years and supporting the Knolls since forever. Check them out at birchorthodontics.com. BURCH orthodontics.com. FSU's biggest fan, wake up! Going to throw some coaches at you. Give me a yay, give me a nay.
All right, let's do it.
Butch Jones,
No.
nay.
Nope.
Luke Fickell, nay.
You don't like Luke Fickell?
No.
Okay.
Cincinnati's head coach.
Yeah, I know. And he was Ohio State the year they went before
Without
Urban.
Tressel
Yeah.
before Urban showed up.
But he's done all right at Cincinnati, hasn't he?
Yay or nay, Corey?
Yay-ish. Yay-ish.
Lane Kiffin. I'll say yay-ish.
Nay. Absolutely nay.
Mike Gundy. Nay.
Nay on that, too.
Thanks as always. Go Knowles. Marnol55. Wake up! Hey, guys, after Monday's
Just
show.
because Gundy, I like he's made them an okay program, but they've always just been okay, which is good. And he's okay State. So it makes sense that they're just okay, but they're not. They're never. They had the one good year when they almost made the playoff with a horrible defense.
Well, was not the year that LSU snuck in, like, wasn't it? No, that was in 2007.
It was Whedon, so it may have been like 11 or 12
or something. 11, I think you're right. Yeah.
And they always had those dominant receivers, but they were always just the last 3 or 4 years. What have they been? Just pretty good.
10-3, 10-3.
Really?
7-6, and they're 7-3 right now.
They're 7-3 right now.
That's what Wikipedia says.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
And they had back-to-back 10-win seasons.
No, they were 7-6 last year, and then they had 3 seasons of 10-3 back to back.
I'll throw out a yay then. All right, you convinced me. And
Why though? Again,
he's
what
46, right? He's a man. He's a man. He's 40. He's probably 52. God, that was 12 years ago. He said that.
Wow, that's a funny thing I was thinking about. If he's
been there a long time.
Yeah, if he did that now, he would have got fired.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think so. I don't think he was doing it like I'm a man. You're a woman. I think he was just doing it.
Doesn't matter. That's how it would have been interpreted as.
I think it was more like I'm a man. You're. Why are you talking smack about my quarterback when I'm a man? That column was ridiculous.
Fired.
I don't know.
I don't know. Fired. No, man, I'm good.
You don't like. What's wrong with my man Gundy?
What is he? He hasn't won anything. He hasn't even won the conference.
What's Matt Campbell won?
He's been there for like 4 years, man. He's been the head coach for 14 years.
You think Matt Campbell would get them to a national championship at Iowa State?
Not at Iowa State. Maybe at Oklahoma State. Maybe he wouldn't have blown it in 2011.
What did they lose to? Blown it? Didn't they go like 13-1?
They lost to Iowa State in double overtime.
Not even Matt Campbell's Iowa State. Who would have been the coach there? Paul Rhodes? Who the heck was the coach at Iowa State before that? So, man, Iowa State's been upsetting people for years. That's not a Matt Campbell.
You know who Paul Rhodes' offensive coordinator was that year in 2011 in Iowa State? Tom Herman.
Oh, T. Herm, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
It says his defensive coordinator was Wally Burnham.
Really?
That's what it says on Wikipedia. It wouldn't lie.
Yeah, I guess he was at Iowa State, wasn't he, back in the day?
Yeah, look at that.
All right.
Interesting.
Anyway, I'd throw Gundy into the mix. Sure.
I would not. Marnol 55. I already said wake up.
As you can see, I'm mostly yay.
Yeah, say yes to everything. Right?
I'll throw everything against the wall.
Except Lane Kiffin.
Not Kiffin.
After Monday's show, I got a question for Corey.
All right.
Which do you think, Corey, is more egregious? 1, coaching with one less coach on defense when the defense was already a problem. 2, constant mistakes in game management. 3, Aslan's lack of game with Becky. Love the show.
Call her Becky. Man, I don't 3, but it's not. I wouldn't even call that lack of game. It was just lack of care or initiative, ambition, which was really bizarre. I still don't quite get what was going on there. You sabotaged yourself.
Saboteur.
I would say of the two that were serious, the first one, because game management. We just talked about Les Miles. He won a national championship. That dude would call timeouts after intercepting a pass. Like he had try to stop the clock on a change of possession. Yeah. Like he had no real clue what was going on from play to play. And Bobby Bowden wasn't great at game management. A lot of it. None of these guys are. Jimbo wasn't. So that's not that. That's just something that I've just come to accept. Coaches don't understand what they're doing late in games. Willie's were a little bit more egregious. Some of his mistakes, calling a timeout to punt early in the play clock, was just unforgivable. But not having a coach when you need a coach, hamstringing your program in your second year like that for David Kelly. It ain't like you're doing it for Kirby Smart. You're doing it for David Kelly, who, by the way, apparently didn't do a bang-up job as recruiting coordinator. But you had to have him on staff so much that you coached a man down. Yeah, that to me it's more of a maybe a microcosm of things that would go wrong. It's more of a big picture. I guess those are exact opposites, microcosm and big picture. But it illuminates maybe why you might have a problem moving forward with organization, big picture philosophy, why an administration might think, okay, you're not the right guy for the job because of some of the big picture decisions that you made. That's a huge, huge mistake.
When I asked him in the offseason about whether or not that was going to be a problem, he did his whole nah.
And he said, we've been
doing
coaching
this forever.
Yeah, well, and he's been coaching with 9 guys his whole career,
right.
Which is true. This was the first year of it.
Do you believe that he really didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, or was he just trying to spin it as I can't look like I've mismanaged this situation?
I think it was two competing thoughts. It was, I really want Dugans on this staff. I think he'll make us better, which was true. That's a good idea. The problem is at what cost? Like, is Dugans at receiver better than having T-Buck as your DB coach?
For example.
Mm-hmm. And my thought to that would be absolutely not. Yeah. Dugans could have sat out a year and waited. You didn't have to get him right away if you could have had somebody like T-Buck on your staff and you have a full defensive staff. David Kelly is not as good a receivers coach as Ron Dugans. Nobody would argue that. But he could be good enough in the moment. Hey, Tamarian, just run as fast as you can downfield, and when on a running play, try to block a corner into the stands. Like, you can do that stuff. I just think that was a big-time miscalculation. They needed somebody on that side of the ball, quite obviously.
Right, but again, also, do you think he was like, man, this really won't be that big of a deal?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that. I don't know. I wouldn't say I definitely think that. I think that he thought it was too important not to lose David Kelly, and it was too important not to lose Ron Dugans. And if it not cost them as far as wins and losses, but if it made other people's jobs a little harder, like Odell Hagens, for example, who all of a sudden had to coach a position he's never coached before, then so be it. But we need to have these guys. I don't know that I don't think he thought it was that big a deal because he would have fixed it. He would have just said, okay, either Dugans or Kelly, y'all aren't coming back. Y'all aren't going to be here this year.
Harlan Barnett, did you ever stick up for yourself, Harlan? I mean, this is a rhetorical question. Harlan you're going to coach a man down. The head coach is an offensive-minded guy, and he's stripping you of resources, and he wants you to go to a 3-4. Poor Harlan. Harlan, did he ever try to stick up for himself, I wonder? Renegade Express Q's. Corey, are you more looking forward to your trip to Shreveport or Detroit?
I'm not going to Detroit. I've already made that executive decision. I assume I'm an executive in this.
That's right.
In this organization. So I guess the answer to that is Shreveport because I would actually probably go to that one. The problem, and I think everybody listening to this can relate, and if you listen to this show, I love my job. I never talk about woe is me. This is a tough job. I know everybody not everybody, but a lot of people listening to this would trade places with me in a heartbeat. It's a really cool job what I get to do. But it's the day after Christmas. So I have to leave I don't know when I would leave. I don't know when availability would be. Would it be on Christmas Day? The day before the game? Would it be Christmas Eve? Like that, in that kind of, that's not great. That's not great to be in Shreveport no matter what day it is. But to be in Shreveport on Christmas Eve and not only, I don't mean that, I mean I'm away from my son and my family on Christmas to cover a 6-6 Florida State team where none of its best players will be playing against, I don't know, who would they be playing? Louisiana Tech?
Yeah.
Somebody like that. It's not that appealing. But of those two choices, because the Detroit game is on December 26th too, I would choose Shreveport because I think Detroit has casinos too.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have to fly if I went to Shreveport.
Will you wear like a Bobby Valentine disguise when you go to Shreveport?
Hopefully they don't know what I look like, and maybe they don't remember that column. The column, by the way, folks that don't remember, it was just, and it's funny now looking back in hindsight. I wrote it as like Florida State needs to soak this in. All the players that are here right now in Shreveport, where you're staying literally across the street from a hustler club, you're attached to a casino, not a good casino, not a high-rolling casino, not the Bellagio. Just the whole setup, the bowl, the stadium. And it's not Shreveport's fault that their stadium is 100 years old, but it is. Like, you need to remember this and say never again. We're not doing this ever again. That was kind of the take of the column, is you guys need to decide you're not ever going to be in Shreveport again.
You're better than this.
Yeah, but
spoiler alert, not
you
really.
weren't.
Not really. Big Torsk, listen to you guys when getting ready in the morning. Every time you do the whoosh sound in and out of the Birch orthodontic spot, my dog thinks the ceiling is falling and takes off to hide. He's a greyhound. Big boy moving, too.
Can we insert one right now?
Who's going to be running scared and whimpering in a corner more? Blackman behind our offensive line trying to block Florida, or my dog during the next Birch whoosh?
Well, Blackman's not going to run scared.
Nope.
But he will be running a lot and doing a lot of ducking, I think. That's bad news, man. That's bad news, what's going to be happening there. I don't know how they do it. Just throw it up to tomorrow and hopefully get some pass interference penalties.
Wild cam. All of it. Wild cam.
Wild trap.
Back,
you got wild trap, wild cam.
Option.
You got some other things you can do. Maybe those passes to Trayshawn down the line of scrimmage. Those are hard to defend.
Second 11.
Second 14.
Another Corey Clark grooming question from Magnol 5.
Okay.
Wake up, Warchant. If I'm up, everybody's up. Get up! Corey, when exactly did you go for the Yul Brenner look? And why? I mean, I'm asking for a friend.
Yul Brenner, that's old school bald.
Yeah.
That's like 1960s bald. 2000, when would that have been? 2015, maybe 14.
Oh wow, I missed it, huh?
I think it was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I know what year it was. It was the year the Hawks were the best team in the East and lost to LeBron I remember because I shaved it after they lost to you know what? I'm going to look that up.
So basically, Florida State has gone into a tailspin ever since you shaved your head, is what you're saying.
Yeah, correct. Actually, absolutely. Yeah, they had. I think they were. What would they have been? 47-3 in their 50 games prior to me shaving my head.
Thanks, Corey.
And they've lost more than 3 since.
Magnol 5 also wants to know if the players and staff can spend the night at a Holiday Inn Express the night before the Lizard game. Boy, that would be nice.
Yeah,
that would be nice. Shive2476. I think Mark Stoops would be a great hire. No need to talk myself into it. He is a disciplinarian that is defensively focused. Take that with Kendall Briles, and I think we have something good. See, there you go. You just did talk yourself into it. He's a guy that's 4 games below 500, and he's been at Kentucky for 9 years, and he's got 1 10-win season to show for it. You just did it. Fantastic.
Well, but he does have a 10-win season. It was something, right?
And he's followed it up with.
Well, what have they done? What's their record?
They need to win. Well, actually, no, South Carolina's in a bad shape. I think they got 2 games they need to win to get to, or they got 2 opportunities to get to bowl eligibility. So, and one of them's going to be my boy, Satterfield. Is it Mark Satterfield? It's not Mark Satterfield. What's Satterfield's name? But the guy at Louisville. So yeah, Scotty.
I found it. It was March 20th, 2015. Is when I decided to shave my head for good. So 4.5 years ago. And it was, like I said earlier, it was just because I hated the way it looked. And everybody had been telling me for years that I had a nice shaped head. And so I just went for it. Went for it.
Yeah, they got UT Martin, the Skyhawks. They'll win that one. Then they have Louisville at home. So that'll be interesting.
That's a big game there.
Yeah, a big one. He is
but they also did lose their top 2 quarterbacks this year, right?
That is true. That is fair. That is fair. He's 41-44 at Kentucky.
Because they would have beaten Florida, I think.
They should have beat Florida like every year he's been there, I feel like, almost.
Yeah, but they had a lead, and then their quarterback got hurt, or their quarterback got hurt in that game or before that game, and they still
Well, Felipe
Almost won
Franks
that
got
game.
hurt, and they didn't hurt Felipe Franks.
Yeah, it was
their
their Kentucky. Actually, everybody should blame Kentucky for hurting Franks.
Way to go. He went 2-10 in year one, 5-7, 5-7, 7-6, 7-6, 10-3, and he's going to probably end up 7-6 again. So,
Yeah.
enjoy that one. I'm not too pumped. And he also asked, what about Les Miles? Is his contract something we can't work around? I'd start eating my lawn right now if we'd hire him. But we just don't see eye to eye, Shive, which is fine.
It's fine. I get it.
Yeah,
I get that people
fine.
would be excited about it, but I would not be. Plus, he's kind of old, isn't he?
Who?
I'll look Les Miles.
Yeah.
I'll look it up. You go ahead.
Although I feel like he's dyeing his hair now. I think he's like really heavily invested into the Just for Men scene, like I have. This one comes from Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. First post from Ranger Knoll 74, all caps, 3 exclamation marks.
Ooh,
Wake
all
up,
right.
fellas! New member, longtime listener, first
He's
post.
66. He just turned 66.
And I'm not an ageist guy. I'll take Bob. I think Bob. I thought the whole thing that Bob Stoops was, 59. He's not young anymore. I don't know if he has enough gas in the tank. Like, come on, man, knock it off. But the problem I think with the older guys, for me again, is your Gundys, your Pattersons. Again, these guys, it just doesn't seem to me at age 60 you're going to figure out how to win a national championship. Be like, well, what about Bobby? Different time, man. Different time. I just don't think a guy who's 62 who's never won a national championship, who's never won his conference, is going to come to Florida State and it's all going to start falling into place for him now.
I mean, I get that, but again, Florida State's different than TCU or Kentucky I think
there's built-in advantages there too to be able to sneak in and win championships. I mean, you might have, the lay of the land if you're TCU. I mean, like he's been there for how many years did we say he's been there for? Like 20 years? I mean, come on, you got to figure it out. 20 years, man, figure it out.
To win a national championship at TCU,
win a conference title, make it to the playoff.
Come on, man, come on. All right. What's the matter? It's TCU.
20 years.
It's TCU. They've been good. You just said they've been top 10 7 times. If you can get top 10 at TCU 7 times. I feel like you could turn Florida State into a nice program.
Man.
You just could. You could, right? You could.
You
TCU was...
You could. Gus Malzahn could come here and win a national championship too because, Auburn's been just screwing him over, not giving him any support.
Hey, Gus Malzahn's gotten him to it. Hey, what was he, 13 seconds away? 13 seconds away.
No, it was like a minute something away.
Now, didn't they score on the...
Oh, you had 13 seconds left to do something.
Yeah.
New member, long-time listener, first post. I'm a Tallahassee native and currently stationed in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. It's Leavenworth, right? Not Leavenworth. Leavenworth. The Leavenworth Cafe, where we had our final meal together in Omaha for Mike Martin's final game.
Was that right?
Yeah.
I didn't remember that. It was a good place, right? Was that the place?
Because it was on Leavenworth Street, but the way they spelled it was the number 11 and then
That's
Worth.
right. Yep. Yeah, I like that
we're
place.
going to give good juju. We're going to help out Mike Martin. Nope.
Didn't quite work.
In the past, as a native Tallahassean, I grew up experiencing multiple Seminole game days, which were a huge event with tailgating and a full Doak Campbell Stadium. I was hoping when Odell took over the steering wheel, the fan base would show their support by attending the last home game of the season. My question, what will it take for the fans to show their support for the university and this team? I know wins are the answer, but fans need to understand that they play a part in our team's success by showing support, regardless of their opinion. Anyway, you guys are awesome and a part of my daily morning routine. Keep it up. Well, I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
And I think part of that was the opponent, honestly. Nobody expected big most of this season has been almost a referendum on Willie. Like, they just didn't believe in Willie and what he was doing. And, how else do you make that known other than not showing up to games? Fair or unfair, bad fan or good fan, I get not wanting to come watch your team get rolled over by Miami. I get it, especially if you don't believe in the guy that's coaching you. That said, yeah, they should have better turnouts. This has been embarrassing. I get that they haven't been a good team. They haven't been 1-11, and you're averaging, 52,000 fans or 54,000 fans? Florida State fans should be embarrassed by that. They just should. It's a bad look. But should also be pointed out, as we talked about last week, Notre Dame had their first non-sellout in 37 years or 40 years or whatever it is.
It's a ranked Navy team, which is a rival.
It's just the way it's going in college football. It's just the way it's going. People would rather stay at home. Attendance is down all across the country. It's not just a Florida State problem. But 52,000 or 54,000, whatever they're averaging this year, is pretty abysmal.
Yeah, it's a chicken versus egg thing. Do the fans show up and the success follows, or does the success need to happen first and then the fans will come around?
Well, in a perfect world, the fans should always be there, right?
Right.
If you're a fan, you're a fan. But again, I get it. I'm not going to criticize people for not spending their hard-earned money to come support a product that, number one, doesn't win, doesn't give them much enjoyment, and they don't believe in the head coach. I get that. But you see all these other places, a lot of places around the country where they still tend to show up. But, man, I don't know. Florida State's different, too. It's harder to get to. Embarrassment might be a little strong. It's just a little disappointing. I would say it's been disappointing, a lot of the crowds this year. But I get it. It's not much to cheer for.
Better home slate next year. I think you get a Matt Campbell. You go and beat West Virginia. Chick-fil-A kickoff classic.
Is that next year?
It is, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not Boise? Is Boise 2 years from now, or do they play West Virginia and Boise next year?
Why don't you look that up?
I'm going to look that up. Question. Look it up, Corey. Look it up.
NYC Noel, wake up! In your opinion, did the administration think Bob was going to say yes, and at this time we wouldn't be considering the Memphis coach? Can't believe I just typed that last part.
Man, they got both.
They play both teams next year?
Yeah, according to FBS future schedules, they play both.
Bring it on. All that blue. Blue turf, West Virginia blue. Yeah, this was part of kind of what I was asking Corey on the show yesterday because, David Coburn said we hope to have somebody in place by the end of the month. Well, I was like, well, you still got the regular season is still going on. It's the day before It's the day. What did we say November 30th was? Is that the Florida?
The last day of November, because November only has 30 days.
Right.
There's this thing where you can do with your hands.
Okay. But is the Florida game the 30th? Or is it the 29th?
30th.
The 30th.
Yeah.
Okay, so he said they were going to have somebody in place by the end of the month. So I would think that maybe they had their eye on Stoops and they were going to we're going to give him. We're not going to let him say no. That was my kind of thing I was trying to ask you, but it might have just been maybe David Coburn misspeaking because he didn't realize that day, the last day of the month, was a Saturday, which. You're not going to have a coach in place if he's actively coaching at another institution. Right. I think that when they were getting ready to get rid of Willie, I think the plan was, listen, man, Bob Stoops is the guy. Let's give him whatever he wants. Let's give him an offer he can't refuse.
I don't know that. I don't know that they thought that Bob Stoops was the guy on Sunday when they fired Taggart. I think he was just a possibility. Some back channels might have been crossed to see crossing a channel the English channel. That's why
I'm not saying.
I think that once I think he showed maybe even more willingness to listen than they even thought. I think they might have done it like, hey, let's just float this out there and see if he'd even be interested. And then when the reports came back that, well, yeah, what are you offering? I think that's when it got real. I don't even know if he was like the number one. All the eggs are in that basket right away kind of guy. Because I don't know how realistic they thought it would be. And then it became a lot more realistic as they went along, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think they realized just how bad things were, and the only way to get this thing turned around was to do something really drastic, which was to fire him midseason, to go after a guy like Bob Stoops, who's available, and they wouldn't have all these sort of obstacles that they're going to have to deal with if they're going to interview Mark Stoops or Matt
But you wouldn't have
Campbell.
wanted to – if you know you're getting rid of Taggart, why keep him around? Why do it? Just like the USC guy. Why are you keeping him? Well, no, they're ranked now, right? Are they going to keep him?
I don't know.
He's got 12 lives out there. But the same thing with the Arkansas. If you know you're firing him, don't keep him around because then we're just asking every game becomes, hey, do you think you saved your job? Do you think your job's in jeopardy? That's all that's surrounding the program. And if you know you're going to do it and you don't have to sneak around them and be sneaky and snaky, you can just say, all right, we're going to cut it off now, and then we're going to go pursue our coaches and feel okay about it because we're not sneaking behind Taggart's back without telling them. So you could tell them, hey, you're going to be fired at the end of the year like Florida did with Zook, but most coaches don't handle that as well as Ron Zook did.
Also, with all the success the Noles are having in every sport other than football, basketball, women's soccer going for their third national championship, softball's number one recruiting class, and recent national championship cross-country success, golf has a top 5 recruiting class, etc., etc. Is it not time to discuss giving Stan Wilcox his own statue for his vision of coming to fruition here? Great work, guys. Make me proud to say I'm a friend to the show. Go Noles.
Yeah, well, yeah,
maybe the Wilcox corridor.
Yeah, that would be something.
Change Champions Way to the Wilcox corridor.
Yeah, it's a Wilcox corridor, the Wilcox Way.
Yeah, there we go. Next question, Jolin Cones. Wake up! Good morning, fellas. The air is feeling a little more crisp and fresh since Odell has taken reign. Here's my question. With the bye week this weekend, I believe it is the perfect time for former players like Cromartie to start showing up. Willie is now gone, so that staff is no longer holding them back. Do you believe they should come back to help soon, if at all? That'd be pretty cool. Just like an all-hands-on-deck thing. Odell just calling everybody like, yo, I know Thanksgiving's coming up, but y'all can come up here for a day or two. Just let these guys know how important it is to beat Florida. Also help me maybe get a full-time job as the head coach here. That'd be kind of cool if I could win.
Yeah, sure, that'd be fine. No, I think it's more about, hey, man, can y'all be here on the weekends in December and January when we bring in these recruits? That, to me, is a lot more important than Cromartie telling people, hey, now when you get even with them, turn around. Try to make a play on the ball.
You're in what we call phase. You're in phase
So now turn around. And also, it's cool if you're like 6'2" and sprinter speed like I am. That really helps. Or I was. So yeah, I think that's something that needs to be opened. I do think that maybe wasn't done the best under Willie. All the players maybe didn't feel as welcome. All the former players didn't feel as welcome as like the superstars might have. And I think that's an avenue that needs to be opened. I've never really understood when – the first thing I would do, and this is legitimate, because I already got game management – if I was a head coach, I already got game management down. I don't need to study anything on that. Right. I would go – and, I know Willie said that he was a huge Florida State fan. It became obvious he wasn't. He might have had Florida State shirts growing up, but he didn't follow the team as closely as, Corey Clark in Atlanta did. Not many people did, though, obviously. But the first thing I would do, Aslan – is if I was hired at Houston, I would get their media guide and I would read everything I could about Houston. I would commit it to memory. Who their All-Americans were, who their best players were, what their best seasons were, some famous games, all that. And then I wouldn't just mention Andre Ware. I would mention the 3 receivers that he threw to when he won the Heisman. Like I just think that does ingratiate you a little bit, and it does help the familial feel of a program, because college football is different than the NFL. It just is. It's just different. And you want the guys that weren't necessarily the Deions or the Charlie Wards of the world to still feel welcome and feel like you know who they are. That helps a lot, I think. And, it's more importantly, you got to build a program and win games. But that's one thing that Jimbo had, man, was his just ridiculous
institutional
recall of the dynasty years, especially the early part of the dynasty, because he was around the program and he was around Terry Bowden when the dynasty really took off. So he remembers all those games and all those plays, and I thought that mattered. I think that matters when you see somebody and you're like, oh, you're Stan Shiver. You were the All-American safety. Your brother Clay, how's Clay doing? All that stuff, man. I think it's impossible to know everything, but to try a little bit. Take a couple days. Have whoever the next head coach is, honestly, I'm putting this out there. Unless it's Odell, I think he's going to know. I'll sit with you for 8 hours, one day, 8 hours, maybe even 4 hours, and go and hit all the bullet points you need to know about Florida State football in the last 40 years. I'll do it.
Awesome.
Free of charge.
Yeah.
Free of charge. I think
Jimmy Sexton listens to the show. Jimmy.
And we know Coburn does.
Yeah.
So, David, you're going to hear this. Write this down right now. Even call me when you hear this. Well, if you listen to it early in the morning, don't. No. And I'm on my way to Biloxi as you're listening to this. But, yeah, I'll do it. I'll sit with you. I'll sit with your man for 4 hours and give him all the bullet points of what he needs to talk about. Ward Dunn, 93, huge play. Gordon for Boston College missing the field goal against Notre Dame to allow Florida State to get back in. Kes McCorvey, that's a name you need to know, my man.
Lane Fenner.
Yeah, sure. Lane Fenner, he was in bounds.
He was
in bounds. It's ridiculous. Burt Reynolds used to play football here. Don't know if you know that name. All that stuff. Lee Corso, great. So, yeah, you just need to know all that stuff. And I'm willing to offer my services free of charge.
Ohio 06. The coaching search is the only thing that matters. The depressing part is having to wait for this hire to happen, then having to wait 9 months to see how it all looks. Already during the offseason.
27 months, really, to judge it.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sold on Matt Campbell. 6-4, all 4 losses by a combined 11 points. Iowa 1, Baylor 2, Oklahoma State lost by 7, Oklahoma lost by 1. My question.
Losing to Gundy. That's what it sounds like. My man Gundy
he
coming
Gundy.
Correct.
He did. My question, over the next 5 years, which happens more? FSU men's basketball NCAA tournament appearances, FSU football bowl victories.
Bowl victories. Well, that's random. That's It should be FSU basketball tournament wins if we're going to do bowl victories. I think they'll both. I think Florida State. Ooh, that's a tough one. I think Florida State will go to more bowl games than FSU will make the basketball tournament.
But it was bowl victories.
Than FSU basketball. I mean, those are random, right? You're
I
gonna,
think they'll win more bowl games and they'll make appearances.
especially if they keep going to the crappy ones and they get to play the 7th best team of a Group of 5 conference.
Team Money Knowles, wake up! Have they interviewed Browse or Levitt for the head coach job?
Not that we know of. That'd be I just don't know how you sell Bryles. Yeah. Or Levitt. You can do better than that, in my opinion.
If Matt Campbell is hired, are his assistants locked down with big buyouts as well? I wouldn't think so.
Is he locked down with a big buyout?
I think $5 million.
Okay. I wouldn't think at Iowa State those assistants are locked down.
If they are, does that open opportunities for Levitt and Bryles? Man, why do people like these guys so much? They're your coaches right now. What do you see that makes you so excited about these guys?
Hey, man. I will say this, though, looking at it, last year, you know how many points Florida State averaged per game last year?
Offensively?
Yeah.
24.3 or something?
21.9.
Oh, wow.
This year they're averaging 30.1.
Okay.
Last year I think the total yards was like 355. Yeah. And this year it's like 410.
So they're back. The regression has gone away. They're back. They're progressing.
But I mean, when you think about 8 points per game and 60 yards per game, it's obviously a much better offense. The problem is the two best defenses they faced, they looked just like last year. Mm-hmm. The good news is all the other defenses they faced, they moved the ball and didn't make you put your head in your hands half the time. Mm-hmm. So that was good. I think Bryles knows what he's doing. He's a good coach.
No, I'm not trying to be overly dramatic with the Kendall Bryles stuff, but it is to the point where the offense does look better. But, I mean, how often have you been like, other than like the Boise State game, just because I guess it was such a shock coming out the gate that way, there hasn't been a lot of times where you've just been like, man, this offense looks great. And I know it sounds crazy, but so many of the plays that they would score against NC State and Louisville, like all of like Hornibrook's big plays, are just huge busts, which to me is not like I can't get all warm and fuzzy when it's like, man, they're just going so fast that these people can't keep up, and that's how they're scoring touchdowns. I know they all count the same, but it's not like some sort of great like schematic play was drawn up or like great athleticism was shown. It was like, hey man, they freaking ran the play and they weren't set up and he ran right by him. Like that's great. But yeah, Bryles said he would take the head coaching job, so maybe that could happen. Who would you rather have, Bryles or Levitt as the head coach, though? I think I probably would take. I guess I would take Bryles.
Yeah, I guess Bryles. That's tough. Yeah, but again, you're talking about no experience, and he just did a pretty good job this year. So the defensive coordinator at Iowa State, if you're bringing him along, we're already giving it to Campbell, obviously. Yeah. Is a guy named John Heacock.
Yep.
4th season there. He has 35 years of coaching experience. Yeah, I was the head coach at Youngstown State from 2001 to 2009. Never won a title there.
They weren't, yeah.
He only got to the semifinals once. But he has been there for 4 years at Iowa State. Yeah. So I'll look and see who his OC is.
I do wonder if that's...
Tom Manning. The other Manning brother. Mm-hmm. Tom Manning. Yeah. There's Peyton, Eli, Cooper, Danielle, and then Tom Manning. Is it Danielle Manning? Was he the DB for the Texans? Yes. Yeah. So there's 5 Manning brothers. He was Mount Union. He's from Mount Union. He was at
Ohio
Toledo.
Guy. They're Ohio guys. They're Ohio Mafia.
He was the tight ends coach for the Colts in 2018. Yeah. Instrumental in tutoring Eric Ebron into a Pro Bowl selection. So guys, if you want Cam McDonald to take off, you got to bring Tom Manning with you. It's just cool, too, that you'd have all the Manning brothers around the program again.
I do wonder if it's like, is Florida State, how do you balance kind of where you are right now, but also what you can offer? Like, do you, like for a Matt Campbell who's got a $5 million buyout, do you say, hey, man, we trust you kind of thing? Or is it, hey, we like you, we like your vision, we probably need somebody a little bit of pedigree as a
bringing that up, not to answer that question, a completely different question. I feel like I'm in a debate where somebody asks a question and I'll just answer what I want to answer. Okay. But people bring that up about Odell. Like, you could make Odell the head coach, like a figurehead. Not a figurehead, that implies he's not doing anything, but a delegator, and you just hire really good coordinators around him. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, who's making those hires?
Right.
Do you trust Odell? The guy that you don't trust, you know what I mean? Like, do you trust Odell to make those hires? Or is John Thrasher and Coburn making those hires? Because with Matt Campbell, you got to assume he's got some guys in mind. Yeah. Mark Stoops has some guys in mind. Who does Odell have in mind? I would assume he'd keep Kendall. Mm-hmm. But who's he going to? Is he going to just keep Kendall and Levitt? Like, and then who? I think when you interview Matt Campbell, and before you offer him the job, you say, okay, if we were to offer you the job, and you would accept, what directions would you go at OC? We really like the guy we have. Do you have any relationship with Kendall Briles? Do you want to bring in your own guy? Because the guy he's got now has only been there. This is his first year. He was so it's not like he has a long. Yeah. He doesn't have a. It's not his David Kelly.
His DC is though. They're tied quite firmly to one another. I think that's the thing too. I wonder if you kind of tell him, hey man.
But is that your role? Like, do you trust the guy or not? Like, who knows more about who should be Matt Campbell's defensive coordinator, Matt Campbell or David Coburn?
Well, I guess maybe you kind of hint one of those things like, hey, if you need something, you let us know.
Sure. We'll be here. I got you.
We'll help you out if you need something. ATL Noel, wake up! We'll take maybe 2 or 3 more questions, and then we'll get to the rest of them on Monday. Well, actually, let's take this one and the next one that's coming from Ranye. Right. I like Ranye's questions. They're always
let's do it.
They're good. ATL Noel 2. Tribal Council seems to be split on the idea of hiring Mark Stoops as the next head man. People either hate the idea or are starting to warm up to it, but nobody seems to love it. My question is, why so much hate? He's done some really good things at Kentucky. Kentucky! His record isn't great overall, but I think people are putting too much weight on that, mostly because of Willie and how that worked out.
Well, it's fair. It's a fair counter, though.
Yeah, we're supposed to not think about these things anymore. He's a disciplinarian that has coached in the SEC for 7 years, and he knows defense. What if his last name wasn't Stoops? I don't think that helps, really, does it? I think that's what help. Isn't that more of a help?
No, I don't think that's a hindrance. I don't think that's like if only his last name wasn't Stoops. I think that if anything, that would help him.
Well, he sounds like he's pro Stoops. I'd rather have Campbell or Franklin or Fleck ahead of him, but I do like him. Thanks for all you do, fellas.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. It's not a. It would. I don't think hiring Mark Stoops would be a disaster. You know, maybe there are some guys out there that would be a straight up that have the potential to be a disaster.
Was Taggart a disaster?
Yes.
Okay, I don't think he'd be Willie Taggart.
So I think he'd be. I just don't. I don't see a disaster potential there. But I also don't know what the ceiling would be.
Right.
I think the basement is higher. I think the ceiling might be a little lower. If that makes any sense at all.
That's really well said. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Georgia Knowles 86. It's Ranye. Wake up! Why do you think Odell made the decision to fire David Kelly? 2 birds, 1 stone. Just, the recruiting aspect is probably really not a very important factor right now because no one knows who's going to be here, including Odell. So why keep a guy on to coordinate your recruiting efforts when the season's pretty much already over?
Literally, how could anybody commit to Florida State right now? Yeah. How could anybody? Who are you committing to? Yeah. I mean, you commit to the school, that's fine, but you don't even know if you commit, if the person that comes in will honor your commitment. There's literally nothing. You can you can touch base, and the Odells of the world, and the Duganses of the world, and Briles, if they think they're going to be here, can be like, hey man, just want you to know we're thinking of you. We're going to be all right. We're Florida State. We're all we need. So different here. Whatever you got to say to these guys, but at the end of the day, you're not going to get any commits until you know who the head coach is. So having a recruiting coordinator to recruit no one is essentially pointless. And if he's not recruiting, David Kelly I'm talking about, literally doing nothing else for the program. Yeah. So why not bring somebody on board that can help coach is what they did.
Yeah, and we don't have any salacious details about it, but apparently they weren't great friends. I mean, and it happens on coaching staffs. Not everybody's buddy-buddy. Not everybody gets along. There's conflicts and things of that nature, but we don't know like any specific, dust up, and people are asking us on Twitter, like, what did they throw hands on each other or something? I don't think it was
I would hope David Kelly wouldn't try that.
Yeah, I don't think it was going to motto Jimbo sort of confrontation thing, but they did not get along, and then Odell's he's the head coach now, interim. So, I mean, he can make these sort of decisions. And, yeah, man, like, why not try to kind of go all in on beating Florida and get yourself another coach to help out when you have somebody like a Mario Edwards who can step in immediately and knows kind of what you're trying to coach and can be a little bit more hands-on. So, I think that's why that happened. Do you think Willie lands a head coaching job at a Power 5 school next season?
No.
Absolutely not. I mean, good grief. I mean,
I think a group of 5 is a possibility. He might go to the NFL.
I mean, I don't know if he ever gets another head coaching job at a Power 5 school.
No, I mean, he could go to a group of 5 and perform well and get back on there again. I mean, it was only 21 games. He can't point to that. And who knows what Florida State does after he leaves. He could be like, look, maybe if they go into the tank even more, he could be like, look, if they'd have kept with me, I'd have, you know what I mean? I think
What's the tank more? We go 3-9?
Sure. Yeah, that's a possibility. 4-8.
With who,
Remember?
Though? Who would go 3-9 here?
Florida went 4-8 twice in the span, right? Twice in the span of 4 years.
Odell's always going to be around to stabilize things.
That's true. So I don't know. I think he'll be a head coach again. Don't know where. I think there's a chance he could work himself back into Power 5 consideration if he does really well at, hey, South Florida might be on the market again.
Yeah.
Get the whole band back together. And really, why you could get the old band back together. Yeah. And then see how he does there, and then maybe he learns from some of the mistakes he made at Florida State and does better the second time around. He gets a chance at a Power 5. But I do think he'll get a Group of 5 job again. And then, how he does there will dictate if he gets a chance at a big boy program again. It's a bummer it didn't work out. It really is. I'm not saying that flippantly. It really is a bummer it didn't work out.
He did interview at Western Kentucky and then didn't get the job and then kind of doubled back around and then got it the next time around. So
That's right.
Maybe he'll figure it out the next time around. But, yeah, I can't. That said, I don't even know. I just don't. What Power 5 program, even if he goes, let's say he goes to USF and they win, I don't know, they win 10 games again. Arizona State
there's plenty of them. There's like
there.
Arizona, there's Georgia Tech. Yeah. There's a lot of kind of mediocre Power 5 programs that look for a spark. Right. And they might think Willie Taggart could be that spark. Maybe Florida State doesn't need that kind of spark. No. They need something else. I don't know. They need something else. I don't know. Maybe they need Odell. Who knows? But it just didn't work out here. But that I don't think just because you lost at Florida State, that just means you're blacklisted from ever being a Power 5 coach again. In 21 games, you know what I mean? Like, that's still a small sample size.
I'm trying to think, all these guys that flamed out.
He did beat Louisville. He beat Scott Satterfield.
I keep always saying Derek Dooley. Like, Derek Dooley hasn't gotten a head coaching sniff. Butch Jones
has he not? Is he not coaching again anymore?
He's at Missouri. He's their offensive coordinator.
Okay.
He was at the Cowboys for a while.
But he might get another chance. He's a young enough guy that he might get another chance at a Group of 5 again and then try to climb the ladder back again.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of guys who did flame out and have they gotten back to anywhere near the heights that they got at the job that they might have been a little overqualified for or underqualified for. But yeah, nothing really comes to mind when I think about it. Charlie Strong's a guy that got that sniff, but obviously hasn't built it back up in Tampa.
Solich got fired at Nebraska and then went to wherever he went, Ohio. Yeah. He's still there, which is nuts. Yeah. But he's never gotten back up on that ladder again. It's not going to be easy, but I don't think it's impossible. He is only 43 years old.
Is he? I keep thinking how he's older than you. You keep
he's younger
your
than
age.
me.
He is your age. I thought.
Yeah, he's a little younger than me.
And then the last question is, when will they begin construction on the football-only facility? When will they break ground for the football-only facility?
It depends on how much of the buyout Taggart wants to get back. How about if he did that? He's like, look, I'll cut my buyout in half. I don't need $18 million. I'll just take a $9 million check right now. Yeah. But you have to name it the Willie Taggart Football Facility. What does Florida State say?
Oh, man.
What do they say? That's saving them $9 million, and they get to start building right then. They can use $9 million. Would you – he probably isn't going to be that petty or that, quite frankly, that dumb. Take all the money you earned, Willie. That's your money. Get it. But, man, that would be pretty sweet if he did that. What would Florida State do?
I like that. That's a really awesome one. I would do that if I was him. I would do it. I'd offer
He's
them
already
that.
got $15 million in the bank. Another $9 million in lump sum is perfect. And then, his kid could go to school at Florida State and be the Willie Taggart Football Facility. And you can't ever change it. And there has to be a statue out front like they have a Dunlap in front of the practice fields.
Funny thing is that they could call this the WTF.
That kind of sums up the last 2 years pretty well.
Yeah. I think they were actually wasn't the plan to put shovel in the ground after the Alabama State game.
Yes,
and that's come and gone.
Right.
Apparently,
I think maybe they wanted to wait till after the bowl practices, I guess, because they're having to do the whole. But I
there
thought
is potential. I think that exists for this to be postponed a little bit.
And I thought the plan was for them to break ground. Yeah, after the Alabama State game, and then they would maybe be practicing for the bowl on the intramural fields.
Or the Marching Chiefs.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be that, but I could be wrong. But, yes, the plan was to break ground after this season, and that still hasn't happened yet. So we'll see if it does. I guess it's all on Willie if he wants to do it or not.
Yeah, so if Bob Stoops is still out there, maybe, you have to kind of keep all your assets liquidated. So I'm sure if he – maybe that's why he's still in the mix. Maybe he's still in the mix because
Yep.
They haven't built the facility yet because they know they got to divert that money. But yeah, for real, I mean, they have money, they have budgets, they have projects, and the money gets diverted. So I'm sure until they get a head coach in place, they'll hold off on that. So with that said, we're done for the week, Corey.
We are, yeah.
Treat yourself. Go to I don't know, man. Go to Gulfport, Mississippi. Go to D'Iberville, somewhere around there if you want. Hang out.
What is that?
It's a really nice town on the Gulf.
I know what Gulfport is.
Ocean Springs.
Yeah, but I'm going to be in Biloxi.
That's what I was saying. It was like treat yourself to a coast trip.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
Go to Biloxi.
Absolutely. Going to eat some seafood, probably, some fried seafood.
Okay.
And going to win a lot of money at the casinos.
All right. Is it a guy's trip or are you taking a...
No, Stephanie will be there, and my two guy friends will bring in their wives.
Oh,
so it's it'll be a good little time.
That must be cool to have a girlfriend.
It is. To share my life with, it actually is pretty cool. Instead of just ignoring texts from attractive young women.
He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant.